Hey guys, this is Alex from Kingsway Church production team. In this series, we're going through Lightkey and how we kind of set things up. The first couple videos, we kind of went through overview, how we run a song, how we interface with ProPresenter. This last one's going to kind of be a bonus for maybe people that are just running Lightkey, but if you're kind of getting into the world of programming, this will be for you. So we're actually going to program a song from scratch. Now, again, this is how I would do it. It's, I learned lighting myself. This might not be the best way to do it. This is how I do it. If it helps you, great. If not, then you can figure out what ways work best for you. And obviously, you're not going to have the exact same lighting setup that I have. But I'll kind of talk through things as we do them. So the song we're doing is God Is by New Life Worship. So first things first, I'm going to look at ProPresenter and kind of get a feel for, so I did like a pink and purple kind of look for this song. And so that'll kind of be the, based on the motion background that we use, that'll be what I program the colors towards. So I'm going to literally start with a brand new cue that has nothing in it. So if I hit new cue, we should see all the lights go down. And so I'm going to just call this God Is, and this will be our start cue. So I'm going to set the fade time to 2 seconds. And so basically what the start cue is the thing that will kind of set the song up to be the way that we're actually going to run it. So it's going to set our colors, it's going to set our positions, it'll set our gobos. And the reason we do it on this start and this start cue is because all the lights that are kind of changing things are all down at that point, so you don't see the changes happening live on stage as we're transitioning from song to song. It's just a distraction thing. So let's start with our top washes. By the way, if you didn't watch the first video, I go through what all of these different groups are, so watch that video. But we'll typically start on 20%. You can see those come on there, and so the next thing I'll do is I'll put my color in. So like I said, we're doing like a pink and purple kind of thing. So I'm going to start with these. I might adjust these later, but I'm going to grab a pink. Yeah, it's more of a pinkish purple. So I have a couple different pinks that could just kind of change slightly. You might not really even be able to see that on camera, but I'm picking the one that's going to work best for the motion background, and then I might edit them slightly later on as we run through the songs at rehearsal. But so now I'm going to drag that in. So you can see over here, this is what the actual cue that I'm working on, God Is start, and I'm bringing in the different elements that I want to happen in this cue. And the thing that's nice is when I start with this cue, I can duplicate this cue and then start building out the song from there. So the next thing we'll do, so I'll just close these just to keep it organized. So we'll do our wall wash. So same thing, I'm going to start that with 20%. It doesn't have a position, so I'm just worried about color. So like I said, it's a pink and purple. So if we did the tops as pink, we'll do the bottoms as purple. And I'll just kind of see which one of these looks the best to match the background. Probably use this one. I might edit it a little bit further. So that's our wall wash. We have our floor wash next, 20%. And so I'll typically do the floor wash the same color as the wall wash. So you can see they kind of blend into each other. It might be kind of hard to see on the camera because the colors are so similar. But, it's just to give you an idea. And you can look at, as I'm doing it here. And then the freedom sticks, we will match to the top. So again, they're not on right now. And I don't usually have them on in the first cue. So we'll drag in the pink on that one. And so that's pretty much all of our colors being set. Now our top spots, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with them yet. So I'm just going to we'll just throw an open gobo in there. We'll probably keep these white. I think in the first song, it's a similar kind of like a pink and orange kind of vibe. And I have the top spots doing some color things. So for this one, we'll probably keep it white. We'll probably keep all the accent lights white for this song. So we'll keep it open. We'll keep it white. and we'll set, this is a slower song, so typically I'll do, maybe we'll kind of do them as a wash look to start off with. If I bring them up here, let me see this one. So that'll give us that. That'll be our positioning for them. And this one, I would probably use like a rotating gobo at some point, but we'll get there later on. This might change later on, but for now, that's in a good spot. Our uplights, so we pretty much always keep them. Put them up. For a song, we will pretty much always keep them in the same spot, which is this long throw. So that's the one that points up and out towards the balcony. And then, so we'll set a gobo on those. I usually pick from one of the ones that I can rotate later on. So as the song builds, I can add something a little bit different in there. I'm not going to use any of the colored ones. So this one will probably be a good one to use. And then as the song builds, I can add, some rotation, probably not fast rotation based on this song, but just to have that ready to go. My stage wash, I don't anticipate doing any kind of like, we might do a keys spot in the beginning, but our keys are up front this week as the person playing keys is also leading worship. So I'm probably just going to keep them on our normal position, which is like a full wash kind of thing. And then we will pull in our house lights. So we typically I have it at 10% for worship. I say 10%, but there's a bunch of different settings in there to kind of get them to match. And like I said, they don't look very good, which is why we keep them low during worship. And then in this miscellaneous category here, we'll just throw the drum light on 100% white. So next thing we're going to do is kind of listen through the tracks a little bit, listen to the guide, kind of see what the song is kind of calling for, what, kind of get an idea of where we're going to go. So I might start and stop a couple times during this, and then I usually run it one time through all the way once I have that on there. So I'm going to cue up the song here, and we'll play it through.
1, 2, intro, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so the intro is pretty much just piano. So we'll duplicate.
Verse 1.
We'll call this intro. Stop it. All right, so for the intro, let me turn the uplights off. It might be kind of cool since it's a lower song. Again, I might not put our actual front wash, the band wash on yet, because it might be a little too bright for this kind of song. So this is one where I might do kind of like a back glow kind of thing. So let's go to our floor wash and we'll kind of bring that up a little bit. So it kind of comes up a little bit, but without having, really bright light on the front of people. So again, those are our bars along the front lip of the stage. And then I'll probably go to our stage wash here and typically I'll do a mixed white, which would be like, like your 5K temperature. But for something that like this, I'll probably do it a little bit cooler. So we'll just kind of do this just to kind of add a little bit of light on the stage, to start without doing it like full blast. So if I bring the house lights down, you can kind of see what that looks like. And typically from the start to the intro cue, I'll do a little bit longer of a fade time. So we'll do like 3 seconds on that. So if we're going from start, it gives us that intro, the keys come in, and then we have this cue on here now that just gives us a little bit more glow. It's nothing too crazy or anything like that. The next part was verse 1. So I'm actually going to just duplicate the start cue again. And at this point now, we will then put on the band wash, which is our front lights, our main key lighting there. So we'll call this verse 1. And we'll change that to 2 seconds. And we are set to go. So for verse 1, it's very low. I would probably just kind of keep everything on this, 20% look. And the only thing that's really different is now that our key light is now on the band. So let's see where we go from there.
1.
I'll kind of fast forward a little bit.
Verse 1.
So looking at the Pro Presenter breakdown, it looks like there's going to be like a little instrumental before it goes to verse 2.
Turnaround.
So they call it turnaround.
Drums.
So we'll go turnaround. And at this point, I might bring in like the freedom sticks on 50% just to give us a little bit something different. Maybe bring our top wash up a little bit. Or let's do like a subtle kind of fade kind of thing. As you can see, they're kind of dimming a little bit just for the turnaround. And then when we go to verse 2, I'll take that out and just have them be a little bit brighter.
Chorus. Breakdown.
So let's stop that for now. So we went from verse 1 where everything's just 20% to the turnaround, which our freedom sticks would come on. You're not seeing them because they're not charged right now. But also if you look at the top wash, and if you could see it here on the screen a little bit too, they are slowly kind of fading in and out. And I call this a subtle effect because you'll notice with the fade, where it says random, slow, subtle, basically what that means is there's not any kind of order to the pattern. They're just kind of randomly fading, and subtle being that they don't go full 0 to 100%. They might go like 25 to 75%. Whereas on this one, they're going from 0 to 100 when they fade. So this one's just a kind of like for a slow song, a first step to kind of introduce some effects into the look of things. And then so on verse 2, we'll go a little bit higher than we did on verse 1. But we're not going to have that movement. We'll still keep the freedom sticks in there on 50%. And then it went to the chorus, which was a breakdown chorus. So something I like to do a lot on breakdown choruses is to kind of change something to be like a white look. So we'll go into our chorus breakdown. And so what I'll do at this point is maybe bring the top wash up to about 40%. And then we'll change it to white. And that just gives us a different kind of look and kind of signals that something different is happening. Typically white is a softer look. So for a softer moment, I might bring in some more white into it. It just gives us a way to break things up without having to do, movement or anything like that. So I might overuse it sometimes, but I think it's a pretty cool look. And yeah, I also just realized we never set our position on the top wash. So we go back here. Now, the thing that's nice is if we shift and select, we can select all of the cues already. So if we go to a position, now typically for a slower song, like typically for a faster song, I'll use like a tighter look on those. But for a slower song, I want to do something that's maybe a little bit more washy. So let me just look through a couple of these and see what those look like. I don't want that one. Yeah, we'll just use this full stage wash one. I think that's pretty good for this song. So if I drag it on there when I have all of the cues selected, it'll add it to all of them. And then as we go through, now you can see here, if I go through the cues, it's on all of them. So as I continue to duplicate and add on to things, that'll already be there. So that's a nice thing about kind of editing these things. The other thing I'll do for the breakdown, so I like to, when I'm doing different things. Again, since we're not using movement, I like to try and make things different. So in this case, when we're going to that softer white kind of look, I'll probably bring the freedom sticks out just to kind of signify again that we're kind of moving into a different kind of look a little bit. And then we'll bring them back in, in different parts of the song. So let's cue up from there and see where we go next.
Chorus. Break
All right.
down.
So you can see it just kind of softened things a little bit during that.
Vamp.
All right, so it goes to a vamp.
Verse 3.
And then
Drums
verse 3.
in.
All right, so the vamp, it might be kind of cool since, again, it's still low and it's a quick kind of thing. We'll duplicate this. We'll keep the white look on it. And we might kind of bring back that glow that we did from the first part. So kind of bring the key lights out. And then we might even bring the top wash up a little bit just to kind of give us a soft backlit glow. And then we'll bring those stage washes with the cool white back up. So again, we're kind of going from a chorus breakdown, and it gets even a little bit lower, but still gives us that glow kind of look. I'm a big fan of doing like backlit glow with no key light kind of things for different effect moments. And then we go into verse 3. So verse 3 is even a little bit bigger than verse 2. So we'll duplicate verse 3 at this point, or verse 2, I'm sorry. And then, so now we have verse 3. So at this point, we have the freedom sticks back on for the first one. So I think what I'll do here is we'll introduce some more movement. So we'll probably bring back that slow, subtle kind of thing for the top washes. And then we'll also, I try to have different groups of fixtures moving at different times. So, and when I say moving, I mean like dimming. Like I said, we don't actually move the heads, but they are dimming at different points. So what I mean by that is like our top washes are dimming right now. So I probably wouldn't have our top spots also dim. I'm going to do something on the bottom set of fixtures to have them dim. So probably our freedom sticks. And again, we won't see that. You'll see it on the preview here, doing some movement. So this one, I'll just do a full kind of random fade. So those will be fading in and out. Again, they're mapped tempo to the song. And so that'll give us kind of our verse 3 look before it goes into the chorus. And so the chorus goes up a little bit more. So let's listen to that, and then we'll figure out a way to kind of bring it up to the next level from that. Something to note, and maybe I'm probably going to change this a little bit. We haven't really touched our wall wash or our floor wash at all yet. So probably on this verse would be a good time to bring them up a little bit. Since we've kind of brought everything else up a little bit, I'll probably only bring them up maybe to about 30% just to give them a little bit. And then we can use that like a 30 to 50% lift for that second chorus where they're still pretty low, but we want the choruses to be able to lift a good amount, which is why I would only go like 20 to 30 on this as opposed to like 20 to 40. Again, these are just the way that I program. You could do things completely differently. But just I'm always thinking about, leaving enough room so that when we get to a really big chorus at the end, and if it goes back into a bridge, I have room to kind of increase the lights and kind of move with the band as they're playing through the song. So that'll be our verse 3. And then we'll duplicate this for our chorus. So let me just make sure there's not like an instrumental or anything in there. I think it just goes right to the... So this is verse 3. So we go to chorus. And so it's not, it definitely lifts, but it's not that much of a lift. So I don't want to go crazy and start bringing in all kinds of different, lights and fast effects and whatnot. I do want it to lift though. So we're going to go into our top wash, and we will, one of the things I like to do to get a little bit of a lift, to change a little bit, is to go from this subtle to just the full 100% to 0% thing. So it's the same effect. It's just changing how high it goes. So that gives us a little bit of lift. The freedom sticks we're already moving on the last one. So I might just bring them up to like a static, 75%, just to give us some more light on the stage. Our wall wash, like I said, I'm going to bring the wall wash and the floor wash up to 50%. Now, one of the things that I feel like I'm missing now looking at the stage is all of our light that's coming down is now moving, so it's not always on. So I do want to add another layer of light coming down that's more static. So we can do that in one of two ways at this point. We can add on those stage washes, these guys, which we had on during the thing, during like the vamp moments and stuff. Or we could add on our top spots and maybe have them do like a zoom effect kind of thing. I feel like these are a little too much for where we're at in the song right now, just because of how slow the song is and how it kind of builds later on. So I think I'm going to use our stage wash lights, and we'll set them to the mixed white. And I typically, when I have them on, I just have them at 100%. They don't, any lower than that, you really can't even really tell that they're on at that point. So typically, if you see me using them, I'm just putting them in at 100% because that's when they look their best. And that gives us the most amount of, lift, being able to see that it's lifting a little bit. So if we go now to this chorus, we get a little bit of downlight coming from those stage washes. All of our stage lights kind of came up a little bit, and we have a little bit more movement on the top washes at this point. So I believe it does the chorus twice. So I'm going to duplicate that. Now, sometimes if we listen to the song and this chorus is maybe building a little bit more, maybe then I'll add in something else to this one, but typically these are the same. And I said in one of the other videos that I will duplicate cues even if they're the same, just so that they do follow the guide completely. And that's just because, a lot of our lighting people are volunteers. Not everybody necessarily needs that, but it's the easiest way for me to make it accessible for somebody that's just learning it to be able to pick it up pretty quickly without them trying to figure out like, oh, it said chorus, but the next cue isn't a chorus kind of thing. It just kind of takes some of the guesswork out of it and makes it more easy for somebody to learn. So we'll probably keep that the same, but let's see if we go into that part. So let's go back to verse 3. All right, so we're on verse 3 here. So we'll see what this looks like as we go into the chorus. Make sure it has the lift that we want it to. And remember too, we'll have the freedom sticks kind of coming up as a little bit too to kind of give us some of that front glow. We just don't see them right now.
Chorus.
All right, so we go to that next chorus. And so it is pretty much the same vibe. So I'm not going to change anything between the two. Again, it's just for the order of the guide to stay the same. So we still haven't used our uplights. We still haven't used our top spots. Again, we'll save them for when the song gets really big.
Interlude.
All right, so now we got an interlude and it's a breakdown. So we can maybe even go back to this vamp.
Interlude.
And we'll duplicate that because it said interlude twice, but they're the same.
Bridge.
All right, and so for the bridge, now it's really soft compared to something else. So for this first bridge, I think what I'm going to do is we'll keep the white on the top. Just because again, it's very soft, but we'll bring it down. We'll get rid of the stage washes, and then we'll bring in the front lights a little bit. We'll probably use like not the full 100% band wash, so maybe like 75% band wash. Again, because that part is so soft, I want to keep it kind of in that vibe. So that'll be the first bridge, and then depending on where it goes from there. It looks like there's another bridge, so that'll start to build up a little bit. We'll listen to some of the cues to see how we can build that back. We'll bring in some color. Typically at this point too, like I'll start to reuse some of these cues. So like if the bridge, verse 3 has some movement on it, if the bridge gets to a point where it's starting to build a little bit, I might take verse 3 and kind of build off of that since it was similar feel. That's just an easy way I found to kind of, since I program, in a similar fashion based on the feel of the song, I might just grab this cue again. We'll listen and see where it's at.
1.
All right, so we're on that interlude breakdown.
Interlude. Bridge. Bridge.
All right, so we got bridge, drums in. So we'll use verse 3, like I said.
Build.
All right, so then
Chorus.
we'll make a build.
All in.
So let's stop it there. This was verse 3. Like I said, I think I want it to have, it does kind of come in a little bit bigger. So I think we're going to use, we'll use a different, maybe we'll use fade random mid. So it's mapped to the tempo, but it's a little bit faster. So we'll do that. We'll bring our wall wash up to 50 like we did. So similar, almost similar to this first, second chorus here vibe. I'm not going to bring the stage washes on for this though. So we'll bring floor wash up to 50. And our freedom sticks are doing a kind of dimmer effect as well. So that'll be good for that. And then for the build, I want it to kind of get even a little bit more than that. So what I can do is maybe we'll take this and have it go to a fast fade. And again, I copied this before I changed these. I don't typically like to go like that fast with it, but again, it's just for a building moment. So it's not staying like that for very long. So I'm okay with doing that in that instance. And then the freedom sticks, I might do like a barn door kind of thing. So it basically just kind of fades in and out from the sides. It does it a little bit faster too, so that kind of signifies, a build is happening or something like that. And now we go into, at this point, the biggest chorus. We still have another bridge that's even bigger, so we have to kind of think through how we're going to do that a little bit. Probably what I'll do is when we do this, we'll duplicate this build. It was chorus all in. So now I don't want them to fade that fast on the top. So actually, let's do something a little bit different. Let's put them on like 80%. Something we can do to kind of change things up is we can actually have these do a zoom effect. So instead of them dimming, they will actually kind of open how wide the beam is and kind of go back and forth from that. So let's do so you can see they're kind of opening and closing the tightness of the beam. So let's try one of these. So that's a good way of keeping the lights on and still introducing a little bit of movement, something that's a little bit different. Yeah, I like that. So since we have that, we'll bring in our top spots now for the first time. And since the top washes aren't dimming, they're kind of zooming in and out, we will set the top spots to do a dimmer effect. So we can use the separate fade beat slow. So now that just kind of gives us another extra layer in there. We'll set our stage wash back in on the mixed white 100. And then we will, we have our freedom sticks. They're still doing the barn doors from before. I'm going to change them. I'm going to have them just be full on at this point. They're not very bright, so even at 100%, they're not really like in people's faces. So if you have different lights that are, obviously you wouldn't want to do 100%. But again, I know our lighting, so for me, I'm comfortable to do that with those. So that's kind of our big chorus look. I think I might even want to put the top washes up to 100 on that part. And we can bring up our floor wash maybe to 60 and wall wash to 60, and we'll save 75% for that last bridge. So now we still haven't used our uplights or our blinders. So there's two choruses, so we'll keep these the same. And then the bridge is even bigger. So we'll duplicate this, we'll go bridge. So now at this point, we'll bring in the uplights and we'll change some of the other fixtures around to do different things. So let's go wall wash 75. We'll go floor wash 75. We'll have the freedom sticks go back to doing a dimmer effect. Now we'll set our top spots. We'll set our top wash to go back to doing a dimmer effect. So we'll basically switch what the top spots and the top wash are currently doing. So right now the top spots are dimming, the top wash are zooming. So we'll switch it so that the top wash is going to dim and the top spots will zoom. So let's pull up. We'd like to use a different one. Let's see what in and out looks like for this. Maybe this one instead. So that one does it in like the groups of 3. Yeah, we'll do that one. And then we'll set our top spots to 100. And then we'll set the position on them to do a zoom effect. So now you can see that those are zooming in and out. The beam is getting smaller and then larger to create that. So again, just changing things up a little bit just to kind of help drive the song a little bit. We're trying to reflect, we're not trying to force worship to be anything or force people's emotions. We're trying to basically just elevate where the band is going. If the band went to a really big moment, but all the lights came down, that's going to be distracting for people that are in the congregation, the same way as if it was a light moment and the lights were all the way up. So always trying to think of that, as I'm programming, trying to be, cognizant of the way that those things are working. So now we'll bring in our up lights. So we're going to put them on 100%. Again, they're another one that they really don't get the effect you want them to unless they're at 100%, which is why I usually save them for the end of a song. And I'm going to have them do, so we use the swirl gobo. So I'm going to have them do, I'm on the wrong section. That's why I didn't see it. Uplights, gobo. We're going to have them do the swirl rotate. Now, I do feel like that's a little too subtle. Let's see what that looks like. I feel like for this part of the song, we can get away with a faster rotation. They're not super bright. So I did go to the swirl rotate 2, which is just a faster rotation on the gobo. So that's our bridge. I believe it just does the bridge once and then it goes to a big instrumental. We'll double check that. If it does go to a big instrumental, probably what I'll do is I'll duplicate this for a big instrumental and then we'll use the blinders. That's kind of the last thing that we haven't used, just to really bring the level of everything up a little bit more. So let's go back and listen to basically from the bridge and the build.
1. Bridge. Drums in. Build.
All right, we're going to the build. So that's going to move them faster.
Chorus.
And then chorus all in.
Chorus.
Next chorus.
Build.
So we have a build here. It's quick.
All in.
So we'll just do like a chase. Fast chase. And then so we have bridge.
Ending. 2, 3, 4.
All right, so it doesn't have a big ending like I thought it did. We're also not going to put an ending cue on that because it's the last song in our set. And that way it'll just go right into the celebration moment. So that's the basics of that. Let me look at... I feel like this part with the bridge drums in still needs a little bit more. Again, we do have our freedom sticks at that part. Just feel like it's a little not what I want it to be. Maybe we can do our top wash static here. Let's bring in that. I don't want to use the zoom effect because we're doing that on the next one. There's something we haven't done yet. We can use a color effect, which I don't use a whole lot, but I do have some built-in ones here that do some cool things with the rings on the those Shourds lights. So let's take a look at, let's see what this does. Maybe pink-white might be kind of cool. Yeah, that's something a little bit different, especially since we're coming from white on the one before that. That might be kind of cool to do that. And maybe even, since we're not using the blinders at the end, I want these to be 100 when they do that. Maybe we'll even bring the blinders in here just to try something a little bit different. I typically wouldn't, but we didn't use them anywhere else in the song, so maybe that'll just maybe even a little bit less, just to kind of add a little bit of something. I just want it to feel a little bit bigger when it goes from this quiet bridge to this. Yeah, I feel like those blinders kind of fill in some of the lights that we were missing on the sides without doing like the top spots or the stage wash. I want to save them for the chorus. And then on this build, maybe we'll bring them up a little bit more. Let's do 15% on this one. And they come up a little bit more. And they're doing that. And the freedom sticks, like I said, are doing something a little bit different there. And then we have our chorus all in. So I feel like that looks pretty good. And then the build does the chase. And then we've got the full big bridge. So let's just run the song start to finish just to make sure we're good with it. And that'll be it.
1, 2, intro, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so we have that glow look. No front lights yet.
Verse 1.
So we introduced a little bit of movement here.
Verse 2. Chorus. Breakdown.
All right, we introduced the white backlight for the breakdown moment.
Vamp. Verse 3. Drums in.
I do typically add those little things just, again, to make it easier for people to follow along with.
Chorus.
All right, so we brought in our stage wash. We introduced a little bit more movement, dimmer movement, like I said. Still a pretty soft song.
Chorus. Interlude. Breakdown.
All right, so now we've gone back to that white look that we had for the vamps. Again, just gives us a little bit quieter. This is just keys.
Interlude. Bridge.
We brought in our front wash a little bit. I just realized, no, I did change it to 100% band wash. That's fine.
Bridge. Drums in.
Yeah. So that's, again, like I said, something a little bit different that I usually wouldn't do, bringing in the blinders on the spot like that and using color effect. But I feel like it works for this song, and kind of gives me some different ideas for things to do.
Chorus. All in. Chorus.
Chorus again.
Build. Bridge. All in.
There we go. So this is kind of the biggest moment of the song.
Ending. 2, 3, 4.
And we would leave it on that while the band kind of crashes out, and then we would go to our celebration moment cue. But yeah, that's how we would program a song for the first time. So this is the first time we've done this song. When we do a song, if you look at Lightkey here, we have some other different pages and stuff for different things. But I can add them to this song list here, which just give every song that we've ever done that I have programmed is in this song list here. So as we do songs, we'll take them out of the actual Sunday service playlist and we'll move them back and forth. So now that I've programmed this song once, I don't ever have to program it again unless we make big changes to our lighting and whatnot. But yeah, at this point we have the song programmed, and now we have it to keep going in the room and trusting God we've done before. So I was able to just bring them in. And yeah, now every time we do that song, we have it already set. And, we would do that same thing to program for any new song. So that's kind of our process. This has been overall how we set Lightkey up, how we run things. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask me. I hope this series was helpful for you guys, and we'll catch you later.